Are we on YouTube? That's my question.
What?
We are.
I cannot hear you. It is a party in here already.
Oh yeah, there's too much sound.
It's loud.
Okay, let me. How can I? Okay, now it's better. Go live on LinkedIn, and YouTube is not working. Let me check if I can fix YouTube. If not, we'll keep it like that. Oh, that's why. I know why.
Let me get into that YouTube permissions again, right?
No. Yeah, permission was kind of hard. Oh, yeah, it's too loud. It's true. Oh,
it's so loud. I'm dying.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Okay.
I was like, I think I just need to pull my headphone out a little bit. It'll be fine.
I know why. Okay. We'll be live soon. I'm updating stuff. I don't know if we're live on YouTube. I don't care. We'll put it.
You said you can bleep it all out later.
Yeah. Just
all
too
the
bad.
Swears. We should put in a joke bleep.
A joke bleep?
In one of the previews. You know? You know how they do that in shows sometimes? Like, and they'll just do like, and like... Exactly.
Things like that?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
I'm encouraging that. Oh, God. This could really go downhill if I keep on encouraging so many things, you know? Like,
Let me test something on YouTube. Just wait. Okay. I just want to... It's just something weird happening. Reload. It's public. I don't know why. I'm not there.
YouTube's kind of like the most important one, right?
Yeah. Okay, let me just test something. We have like 1 minute.
Okay.
I'll do something.
Okay.
Oh, I know how. I'll just do this, 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 this. You ready for this problem? I saw filters, so I just took it.
Nice.
That's it.
We'll solve it.
Yeah. Setting something up.
Sorry, we'll attempt to solve it.
We'll attempt to solve it.
I'm gonna attempt.
I think it's working. Give me a moment here. If it's not working, we'll just, send it to YouTube just after a meeting. So,
oh yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Yeah, I'm just putting myself on mute everywhere. And good. Okay, that's strange. Last two maybe. I know why. Kind of dumb sometime. Okay. So did I send to you the problem of the week, Kira?
Yeah, I got it.
You did?
I can see it.
Yeah.
I didn't read it or look at it at all.
Yeah.
But it's here.
Okay, let me share my screen. So, where's my screen? I don't. Oh, there it is.
It might be in front of you.
Yeah, it is. There it is. So we have a problem from zYzX.
zYzX. What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of an interesting problem in a complex search. So how you show a number of outcomes per filter applied. So what I see is, for what I understand, and we'll have to write the problem. together. But they are working on an advanced filter for a data platform. So complex, many thousands of rows. Filter is split in categories. Good. And there's various options a user can select. And so we're looking to be able to show the number of outcomes still remaining in the table, okay, based on each individual filter's category. So you're applying a filter, you know how many results you have, okay, for each filter. Okay, good. The platform I'm designing is used to answer a highly specific question on a based on the type of data we're working with. So a single filter could be a difference between 4 or 40 results. So he's attempting to make it clear using a funnel approach. Are there standards for this type of approach? So when we see filters apply, this filter have that much result, and that much result. So it's like a query builder, but you kind of know how many results you'll have before hitting search or something.
Like submitting your filter.
How do you feel about this program? Is it something that you... Yeah? What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah? It's interesting.
Good.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to bring up our filters article.
We do have an filter article. But what's the problem that you're trying to achieve? So let's write it somewhere. Okay. I'll let you write it somewhere. Okay, we love to do that first, by the way, to just state the problem. Because if we understand the problem, we kind of have half of the solution done.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let me just talk this out loud a bit, and then I'll write.
Good.
So, because we're in a huge data context, people want to know how many results. I'm inferring this from what the person's saying. They want to know how many results, or at least that ballpark, before they submit their filter. They're always trying to get it to be like way less, looks like, hence the filtering. So I think this person's looking to get just some feedback on, is this like the best practice? Is this probably a clear way to show it or whatever, right? So if we want to follow our user story format, like we do as a user, I want to do a thing so that I get this outcome.
Exactly. That's fine. As a user of a data platform, that's pretty rare, vague.
Yeah, it is, but it's probably, but it is people that are looking at these really dense data sets, regardless of the domain or like specific thing. Sometimes they want to do.
Feel like it's a data platform user that an analytic kind of task, type of role. Do you think? No, I don't know. I just want to define a little bit the user a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say that given they presumably know how to use and leverage all of these variables, they're going to be pretty familiar with the data set itself, I would think. So I think, if we can hint at a little bit of know-how around data, we could put data analyst if you want to get crazy.
I'm just saying user familiar with the data. That's
great.
Something.
Okay. Yeah, nice.
Okay.
I think that they want to filter their results, but they also want to know what they're going to get before they actually filter.
So there's a funneling activity somehow.
Yeah.
Well, do they want that, or it's just that there's so much data and the filtering can be complex that they need to be informed before hitting search, or having the result will not inform.
I would think my presumption would be that this is useful to show how many results you're going to get, because you can you can probably save time the fewer results that you actually render, because it takes that loading time out of the mix. Like assuming 5,000, like 5,300 results would have a different loading time than like 45. So I think you would save time by...
But that's not from user point of view.
No, well, potentially from a user point of view, because if you, every time you like do a filter and load it, it takes a minute for it to load because you didn't know that 5,300 results were there compared to 45 results, that you would be anticipating that waiting time or that loss of time as the user. So you would be incentivized to apply more filters.
That's a big assumption.
Yeah, it is totally. I'm just like, woo. I'm just extrapolating from like other experiences that we've designed before that would make this like results relevant.
I think I want to argue with you on it a little bit because I feel like it's kind of complex query right now. Mm-hmm. And you may or may not know if your query was right. For example, you're adding this criteria, and you want to find out while building a query that you will have some results. And while you're building a query, you may want to say, okay, there's way too much results. No, 5,000 is way too much. I need to work on my query a little bit more because maybe this query, example outcomes, including data. Oh, 45 results. Oh, I'm kind of going somewhere, but I will not, go through, 5,000 results. It's way too much. So maybe during the query, it's a way to see if you're not precise enough or you need to add more criteria. Mm-hmm. Feel like something that you want to do. That's a result of this. If it's just loading, I would say, really? You want to, give this information just because your database is slow? No, I'm not sure. That's why I feel like it's when you're building a query, you kind of want to continue building the right query.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. Yeah. And in order to understand that, you need to have some cues, some indicators of system status.
Oh,
you might
I
even
want
say
cues while building my query, so that my query is smarter. No, it's not great. So I get a manageable amount of results.
Yeah, I would say we can assume that manageable amount of results. Because
or
presumably
the right result. Manageable? Do you think there's a next step after that? Because it's a data platform.
I was just going to say they're probably manipulating that data somehow, or that's probably launching them. I would predict that would be launching them into a workflow of some kind, like act on those things, or make them into a report or something like that. So I think kind of framing it around a manageable number of results is probably good. It's like vague enough that it could be a lot of things, but specific enough that we're not just like, I don't know, doing something for no reason.
Not a big chunk, just a chunk so I can, eat it and digest it so I can play with
exactly.
That. Not too much, not a big thing. Yeah. So good. They know about the data. They want just cues while building a query so they can, have a smaller chunk to digest. Great. So is it a pop-up or an accordion? What do you think
I don't think we know what this actual object is and how it's laid out in the page from this screenshot. Or were there more screenshots in the original?
No.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, fair enough. So are there
save custom
standards?
filters? So you're saving that. All the filters that you applied, you're saving this. That's one. And you add a filter. So you feel it's a workflow here. Because if you're adding a filter, there's something else coming after that.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Do you think it's on top of the result?
I could see it going either way. I've seen both. Given it's something that grows, it can grow infinitely because it's user generated. I would say it's probably not like embedded in the UI because, yeah, I don't know. Just because you have to have a lot of room for the table, and this is going to grow this way. But it does say show less, so it could be that could actually indicate that it is embedded in the actual page, and you can show and hide the results, right?
Well, our assumption is while building a query.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's take this assumption that it is when you're actually building a query. So you have a query somewhere.
Okay.
Do you?
Let's assume.
Let's assume. Let's build something. So I'll start a query. I will just build a simple query something here. Well, where do you want me to start?
Well, yeah, it's a good question because like are there standards for this type of approach is what the person's question is, right?
Yeah.
And so like, the best practice in enterprise software around something like this is really interesting because to me, this could be a question about the workflow of doing it, or it could be a question of just this layout, because they're really honing in on this layout specifically. Like, is this cool? Is this weird? When I first saw it, I thought this looks actually almost familiar with the way that the way that it works. Because I would assume that you'd hit add filter, you'd put in your query, click out or press OK, and then it would appear in a different state, the list item, and then it would show you your results sort of thing. So if it acted like that, then I would assume that would be pretty intuitive for people. You have an action and you have a reaction to it.
Let's try that. Let's design this. Well, let's answer the question. Is it something that is it standard? Is it a common practice?
I mean, it is kind of a common practice, but it's kind of not. Because it should be, I think, more of a common practice than it is. Because we often see like the type of kind of examples that I've seen in the past have been more of like a basic filter where you have a checkbox, a label, and then you have in brackets how many things that is. But in this case, it's actually a query builder, right? So that's a different situation.
Have you seen a query builder where before hitting search, you kind of have this information? I never seen that. Maybe what I've seen is you build your query builder, you have your result, and your query builder is translated on the sidebar somehow, maybe, or just saved, and now you can go back to an edit mode of your results, the back and front. But I've never seen this.
I haven't really, but I think that that's probably not because it's probably because of the data architecture that's related to some of those query builders. Like it's old school for sure. Like if you go on a library website, you can use a query builder and it's like super weird and you apply it and it's completely mysterious and then you see some results. I
feel there's no query builder, by the way. I feel there's just a result and then you filter. And then you apply a bunch of filters to it. This is what I think.
You have result. You mean in order of operations kind
exactly.
of thing?
I'm not sure we have a query builder yet. We have a result, we click setting or filter or whatever, we build something, and then we have this in results. What do you think?
It would really, maybe for systems where it's not, just seeing results is not really that relevant unless you have built out variables on what you're looking at. Which I could see being the case in enterprise stuff, with like super advanced data sets.
There's a show less, show more. So this exists somewhere where you applied something to the result.
I think so.
Okay.
I think that's probably safe to assume that it's like on the page.
So let's say here we have a ton of result. We'll just do a data table just for fun. Just try to replicate it to see if we can play with this. So I'm adding stuff here.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Just putting a frame for you.
Okay, and you have a couple of...
Because the flow definitely matters. It's not...
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we're seeing, right? We're like, well, if it's blah, blah, blah. So maybe let's propose just a flow for building a query like this. Would that be a fair thing to do?
Again, what you said? What do you say again?
Well, we only have a screenshot of just a tiny like little glimpse. So maybe what we should do for our solution is just kind of like hash it out in a bit more detail on how we think that interaction should go.
Sure.
Would that be fair?
I was thinking is just try to replicate it in the context of use. Show more, show less, and see how it goes, and then find out if it's the best solution.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
that sounds good.
For what I see here right now is you have a couple of filters. You can show more, show less. So you have two frames. I maybe need to see it. That's maybe a show less.
Sure.
That mean that this I just have more information here.
Yeah.
That's
So there's
what
a couple.
feel it. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think that there's a couple of good things with this layout that they've done. So it's, I think it's worth maybe mentioning that. So I think that it's strong to have a way to basically differentiate between the context around the filter and then the values. So what this person has done is they've done like a light gray, and then they've done a bold option to create more visual hierarchy or higher visual hierarchy for the values so that they're scannable. So I think that that's cool.
That's cool.
The product, and it says what the nature of the variable itself is. So product type, business area, event date, example outcomes. So I quite like that. I think that makes it a scannable kind of option. That they've put out there. And it does feel to me that like the results being kind of situated where they are with the number, and it does tell you a lot. It's not just a number. So I think that we do see times where you have totals, but they're out of context and you're like, what is this? So the strength of this approach has, we have a total that's very, a numerical total with a descriptor or a label with it. So I'm like, it's pretty intuitive that if I just have product type option 1, 2, and 3, that I'm going to have 5,300 results. I think the other thing is too, like, as we go down, because those results get less and less, I can infer that it's the way that these filters or query builder thing is put together is like, these are all ands. So not ors. So, but that's because of the data. So because the data gets smaller as I go, I can tell that they're really taking things out of the mix. So pure filters, kind of what you would expect.
Exactly.
And the quickness of removing them or getting rid of them feels like it makes sense to me as well. Like just having your trash there. I don't feel like there's a lot of ways to kind of botch that as the user. So
maybe an undo, or are you sure, just to be sure? But yeah.
The one thing I don't see in here is like an apply button or something.
Well, I think when you're adding a filter, you're setting something, you apply, and then you have the result, but you know the context of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And different filters are built in different ways where you have to press apply, and others you don't have to press apply. So depending on how the data all works and how it's all grabbed and everything. So I would want a user test just to confirm that people get that it that the filter is in place, or like it is actually applied.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, it's a query builder. It's not a query builder. Multiple queries in one big builder with, queries and queries and query and. So,
yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, good. So I recreate something. Oh, sorry. What do you see great about it?
Oh, I was just going to say, and the person says, are there standards? And then, does this have a name? I think it's such a good question. Because like our stuff in this world, it like kind of has a name. We think it's probably a query builder or like advanced search, but like maybe it's not. There's always a million things to actually search for when you're doing something complicated like this.
If it's not just an input search, an input text, it's advanced filter searching.
Okay, there you go.
By the way, if it's not like Google, everything is advanced. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's feel like a query, exactly. So there's
yeah, nice.
Well, if it's a query, it's not the layout, the way the outcome of it. That's not common.
Oh, you mean like the results?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if behind that it's a query builder, the results kind of different. But if you understand, it's simple enough, building a query or a filter and then adding them on top of each other.
Yeah.
So follow me here. This is here. So it's not bad, in fact.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that there's a problem. We can, of course, we can make it better. It's not bad.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, I think that it's like maybe there are cases out there, especially in enterprise software, where you have to make something up, right? And there's not just an established pattern, just copy it, do it, cool. And so, I've seen things like this. I've seen derivatives of things like this. I've seen versions of this that are a lot more confusing than this,
so much.
But I think it looks like this person's following a lot of design principles within what they've created. So the question to me would be, or my suggestion would be, because it is a bit of a new space, testing it is probably going to be a really strong approach.
Absolutely.
Just make sure that people understand the things. There's maybe weird edge cases in there, or like situations that would require a little bit more to be created in terms of interaction. But this is probably a pretty solid place to start with solving this problem.
I would make it a little bit more common with a sidebar, weirdly, facets, because you could navigate it a little bit better than just with something on top. Because if you're adding filter on left, you can slowly start to sort things, or browse your search result without building a query. That's, I think, it can be powerful. Not just a query, having a sidebar with a couple of filters. So play with that. You have a query, and now you just want to filter out, sort things out. So
do you mean like kind of canned queries, like pre-made sort of ones, or what do you mean exactly, Benoît? Do you just mean like it's easier to scroll vertically within a sidebar kind of container? Or
right now, good question. Didn't explain it well. It's just that right now you don't have any other filters than the one that you set up.
I see. Okay.
So that's good. That's great. It's like you're cleaning the forest. You say, okay, I don't want this. I have a manageable amount of results. But now I maybe want to interpret a result. I want to, can you show me just this type of data quickly? On and off, toggle, things like that. And you can have this classic filter facets on your left. What you can do is on top of this, you're adding a layer of precision with a different query. So this.
So maybe discoverability is kind of what you're getting at there.
A little bit more, and I would love to have all the same kind of tasks together. Just have your not have your query on top and your filters on right. They are all the same. I'm building a custom query, adding them with another filter together. So it's like my dashboard or my place where everything should be if I want to play with the result. So you can have more filters, more custom or dynamic filters here. This is when we talk about ABC, for example, and I can add this filter. If we look at common practice, it doesn't mean best practice. This is great, but common practice, we kind of see that a little bit more often, where we have on your left a couple of filters. What you can do right now, and your assumption is we have a result, you query on top of it, you can add a custom filter, something like that. And now you can apply them. This, I think it's a little bit more, not user-friendly, but it's more common. So the learning curve will be maybe better, and maybe with a scaling effect, because maybe you want to add more filters in the future, and you can add things like that. I know we built something like that in the past, but we kind of have this type of interface pretty much everywhere, even in e-commerce, Amazon, and elsewhere, where this interface is known. People kind of know how to do it. Now, maybe you need a place where you can edit it or clicking on it, and now you have a model when you can edit your query. But this feels a little bit more common. It's my only thing I would add if I had the money and the time to redesign it for.
Yeah, and I think it'll be kind of because I could see with like a structure like this, like add your filter, you could do a really nice progressive disclosure kind of
you could, yeah,
thing, right? And so you could be taking people through things sort of bit by bit. There's less, in an approach like this, there's less maybe scanning, and there's of like what you could put in, right? This optimizes for scanning or like discoverability of the stuff that's in there. But this one, I think it has a really nice reading experience. Just kind of like, regardless of what approach you take, reiterating what filters are applied is essential.
Absolutely.
I'm kind of agnostic as to if you do it in a left hand or like a full width. I'm like, I could see benefits of either or both.
The only thing I saw with query builder in general when I tested here and there is that it's very rare that people exactly know what they need to query. Building a query, I want this, and this. And then apply, I got the result, I'm happy with it. So any kind of mechanism where you can say, okay, I put a couple of queries, now take this out. Oh, no, put it back in, This is a little bit more natural for people who are, messaging the content, trying to see if it's meaningful, is that the results are meaningful. So what I would add on it is maybe, instead of removing it, disabling it, so you let the user play with it a little bit more.
Without losing stuff.
Losing stuff. So they don't have to rebuild the query again. Because that's more important, I think. It's rare that people exactly know and it's a big query. It's a really big query. So maybe that's what I would add. Just you can build better query, because that's the assumption. Our problem is how we can make it to a manageable amount of results. So maybe the number is not enough. I have just, maybe 30 results, but not the right country. Oh God, yeah. I mean, okay, or maybe, interesting here. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's true, because I think one thing that's really sort of understood, underdone maybe, is considering some of these data-rich workflows as like an iterative workflow. Mm-hmm. Like you try something, you see a result. You try something, you see a result. There's not a lot of good patterns that are just like established out there that show kind of cause and effect of either changing your data or changing the results that are in front of you. So if you could like turn, little eyeball or something, turn it on and off, see how that works, not lose your stuff. That could be a really nice consideration of a power user / iterative workflow like that. Could be cool.
I think it must be iterative in a way, because the job of this user is to find a needle in a haystack. So you kind of need to know what's the result and come back and go back and have a back and forth, so you can find to play with the manageable amount of result. So you kind of need this, and with that, it's kind of, if I don't have the right query, I'm removing it and building it again. That's where I find it a little bit weird, and that's why I love the facets a little bit better, because I may not know what I need. And the dynamic filter will maybe show me what's out there. And now I can make a better query. I can build a better query. Okay, show me all the countries. Oh, there's a lot of people in this country, not in this country, or this criteria is not this criteria. Because of the result. Okay, let me filter things out and maybe save all of this once I have, the result I love. That's why it's not I hate it, but it's good. But maybe it's not used, or used just by power user who know exactly what they need. And that's rare in enterprise UX. That's really rare. So if you want to open it to everyone, make it a little bit more interactive, or add a little bit more a discovering aspect to it. And that's why it's so popular right now in B2B products, If I'm going to Amazon, I will type a book. Maybe there's an edible book. Maybe there's a mug. Maybe there's something. Maybe just maybe for a home. Maybe for a tool. And that's part of the experience, and it's helping me making a better decision. But keep this advanced search for people who exactly know what they need. So that's the balance. So that's why I see it. It's rare now. At the beginning of the web of enterprise, even software, was, I want to access a database. And people who, play with the large data set kind of know how, Even the query is something that is natural for them. So they can build it. I want this and this or this, but exclude that. And you know how I feel about Query Builder. But it has to be more both that go into and if you want to do something precise, give them a great Query Builder so they can build something very precise that they know how. But also the dynamic aspect of it's kind of a part of the game also. That's the goal of the analyst. Ask you a question, robot, tell me back what you found, and that's why I'm a human. What about this, not this? But give me any feedback. So the filtering is, for me, the feedback that is very important for a large data set. And the common way of doing it is facets, but there's more. There's more ways.
Yeah, nice. So is this a fair? I might just summarize.
Let's go back.
Yeah, so I just put our options on what we had, but I also want to just reiterate kind of some of the strengths that we saw in the approach as well, because this is sort of our findings for our problem.
I think they build a query builder without knowing that it's a query builder, and that's great.
Yeah. What's this called? It's funny when you do that, isn't it?
And they did right. Yeah, horizontal reading experience, great. Different type, so categorizing values, that's great. Resulting in OLF, great. A way to undo something with the trash icon. The ability to save it on top right, adding it top left. Classic layout of stacking stuff on top of each other. Even the title filter applied. It's applied, so that. status of it.
Yeah. So they're really little things that can really strengthen your design. And we can see like this one, they use microcopy is leveraged quite intelligently. We have the filters applied thing. We have the label of results to reiterate like what you've done. And then really simple UI tricks of visual hierarchy here, where some things are kind of lower, some things are higher. So you optimize for scannability of certain things. So this was nice approach to it, I think.
It is. Good. So, are we summarizing what we did?
I think so.
Yeah. I'll let you do it.
Shall I? Okay. Yeah. I'm like on the whimsical board, so I can't actually see you right now, bud.
Oh, that's true. Okay, but don't worry about it. I got you.
All right. Wonderful. Okay. So the person who asked the question is building a really complicated data platform where people need to really whittle down the results and find a needle in a haystack. So what they're wondering is about their approach to it and how did it work. So we summarize, to start with, we define the problem, as you do. So as a data platform user familiar with data, we're assuming, I want queues while adding my query, so I act on a manageable amount of results. So manageable amount of results is key to this. Mm-hmm. So when we looked at the approach that our person had, we saw that they actually had quite a few strengths in what they've put forward. So the differentiation of the type of filter from the values was really nice. The horizontal reading experience works quite well to just scan. We see that the results aren't just an orphaned result. It actually has a label that tells you that what the number relates to. There's a quick way to undo, the ability to save, and adding filters to the bottom. It's a pretty familiar pattern. And then just a shout out to the microcopy. Filter applied is actually the system status that applies to the situation. So nice job. So we just made a couple of suggestions on things you can try and things that might help you expand upon what you've already started with. So just to start kind of way over here on the right, there could be an option to optimize for discoverability in this experience. Because we're kind of doing them individually, you might actually, as the user, not be exposed to what the possibilities are. So we made the suggestion of potentially having a way to visually scan things in a bit of an easier or more immediate way. And this would optimize for discoverability of the filters that are available, or the things that you can do in the system. So could be an option to explore. Mm-hmm. And we also were considering the fact that this is quite an iterative workflow. So it would be potentially really useful to not trash things and to be able to turn them on and off so that you can, as the user, you can be going in there, trying things quickly and having a sense that you're not going to lose your work or lose your effort. So the person who prepared this in the first place allowed people to save their filters, which is amazing. So the next step after that is to optimize even more for power users and kind of the back and forth between filters and the data results that you see.
Great. So the dev did a great work. We just improved it, but there's no problem of the week today. It's just great work, and we love it. Just a couple of improvements. That's it. I hope you liked it. So if you have any other problems like that, please comment, join us live, or contact us. We'll be happy to swarm with you. Yeah. Thank you, Ceara. That was nice.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.